This is, by the way, this approach is big money. You know that, right? I charge you twice as much for this approach. This approach is, a lot of people want this approach. This is big. Greetings. This is Brian Campbell, the Magic Guy for PenguinMagic.com series on the business of show business. There's a big B and a small s, and we're going to show you what I mean by that. A big B is the business, the small s is show. It takes a lot of business to get a little bit of show, and to keep it also. Now we're going to talk about how to approach a table. When to approach a table. Well, first things first, let's assume a restaurant holds about, anywhere up to 300 people, okay? So you're working a time frame on average, if you're going to do magic, anywhere between an hour to 3 hours. You don't want to work any more than that. Anything after that pretty much is burnout, okay? 3 hours would probably be a max. That's the estimate I tell people. Try not to work any more than 3 hours at a restaurant. And what I mean by work 3 hours, you're not taking a break. If you have to use the restroom, fine. You want to make sure you have things with you when you have your magic bag. Have some mints with you, some mouthwash, some maybe cologne or perfume or whatever, if you're a lady doing this. Something that, because after a while you're going to walk around, you'll be moving around, you're hectic, you're going to sweat a little bit, have some deodorant in your bag. So you take a break, go to the restroom, wash your hands, make sure you clean up, put some breath mints in, and come back out and do your table. The hostess seats your group. You've identified that you see a new group of people come in. Say you have 4 people, what they call a 4-top. You may have, say, parents, a mom and a dad, and say 2 teenage kids there. So they're sitting at the table, they're waiting for that, they get the menus, they get the water, looking at the menus. Now let me caution you here. Do not approach during this time, okay? I'll explain in one moment why. As soon as they make their order, you can check with your server and have them to give you a tap on the shoulder when they're done with the order. When they're done with the order, there's a lapse, there's a time they're sitting across from each other. Now, of course, some people can have conversation, but the average people have pretty much heard every story they could ever tell each other. That wife has been married to the husband for 20 years, and unless he's got kidnapped over the weekend, she's pretty much heard every story he could ever tell. So they're pretty much going to sit there and just space off and look at the things, or they may ask how school was today, but pretty generic conversation, nothing real detailed. Unless, of course, something major happened in their lives. If you notice the conversation is very engaging and very deep, romantic thing, divorce or breakup, something's happening that you notice is happening, do not approach the table at all. Needless to say, not at all during a restaurant. If the people engaging themselves in a deep, romantic, eye-to-eye contact, don't bother. Just say, folks, you may want to walk by and say, folks, I'm Brian, I'm the house magician, just want to say hi, hope you're having a great night, and walk away. If they want to see some magic, they'll let you know then. If they want to stay involved in an intimate conversation, then let them do that, okay? So be cautious, be cognizant, the word's cognizant of the people at the table. So let's go back to our 4-top. Those folks are sitting there staring off into space. You walk up, introduce yourself. My name's Brian, the house magician. Oh, don't worry about this. This is all in the restaurant. This is nothing out of your pocket. Let them know, to reassure them that you're not paying for anything extra. I don't ever ask people if they want to see magic. Because if you ask someone at a restaurant to see magic, the first thing out of their mouth is, no, we're okay, thank you. Nobody wants to see it because they think it's going to cost them something, okay? So never, ever ask to see a trick. I believe it was Hoffman in the 18th century says a gentleman never offers to do magic. They're only asked to do magic 3 times before they do a magic effect. Well, in this case, you can't have the ability to have someone ask you 3 times, but you don't offer to do it, because if you offer to do it, the natural answer for someone to say is no, because they don't want to feel like they're getting involved in a business proposition here. Never, and I mean never, do a pick a card trick first. Never do anything that a person has to lose their psychological control. When someone comes to a restaurant, now this may be advanced for some of you younger viewers, but maybe folks can explain it a little better than I can. However, when people come to a restaurant, they're in a position of control, a psychological advantage that they have. They're in a position of authority. They tell the server what they want to eat, how they want their meat cooked, what kind of potatoes they like, what kind of drink they want, how many lemons or limes they have. They're in a position of authority. Now, if you come up subconsciously and say, pick a card, you're taking that subconscious control away from them. And immediately, they won't know it why, but for some reason, they won't like you. Trust me, I've done this for years. They won't like you. If you're going to walk up and say you're a magician, then prove you're a magician. take one of the Vernier pulls that, for example, that Penguin Magic has, and say, could I just do this? Could I borrow one of your napkins? Take it and vanish in your hand. Show it vanishing. When it vanishes right before their eyes, immediately going to get their attention. You don't have to say I'm a magician. That says it right there. You can make a bunch of bills appear magically out of your hand. Make a coin appear magically. Make a drink appear. Pull a napkin off the table, make a drink appear magically. Do something that shows you're a magician first. Show your magic first. Do something quick, flashy, that's going to get the attention. Now, when you do restaurant magic, your set should be set of what I call a set of rules of threes. Now, Johnny Ace Palmer and other magicians I mentioned before all professionals use what's called the rule of threes. You want to do 3 effects in a row. 3 effects in a row. You tell a joke, you tell three jokes in a row, tell a story, 3 in a row. So, if you're going to do an effect, you want to have a quick one to follow up and a quick one. Now, by doing 3 in a row, what happens is that if food comes over, or if they don't want to see what you have to do, or there's a fire alarm in the restaurant, at least you can break your setup. You're not doing a complete 50-minute show anymore. You do 3, and then you can, if they really like what you're doing, do another set of 3. They look what you're doing, do another set of 3. So this way you can stop at any time you want and still give mini little shows. It's much easier. So if you do something to produce a coin, then you make it vanish and make it reappear in a bunch of coins or something like that, it's a set of 3s. And if they like what you do, say, folks, I'd like to do a few things for you if you don't mind, then gradually involve them. Say, by law, every magician has to do a card trick. Now, once they've seen your magic, their inhibitions have lowered a little bit, they've proved yourself as a magician, then you can have them pick a card. But if you walk up right away, you're going to lose that person's, right away you're going to lose their trust. You want to build yourself as a magician first of all, show what you can do, make something happen right before their eyes, produce something. Now I caution you from doing certain effects. I don't do things with fire, for example. I don't do fire wallets. I don't do appearing magic fire effects. I don't do anything with animals. There used to be a famous effect where you produce a goldfish out of midair. That's great, but remember, you're in a restaurant. They have health laws. We'll close that restaurant down like that. You'll be out of a job, all the servers will be out of a job, and all you do is really upset quite a few people, okay, and lose their positions there. Secondly, a firewall might be really great, and it gets a lot of people's attention, and a lot of people espouse using this. However, let's assume they hired a new server that afternoon. They're on the floor, they're carrying a tray full of food, and they're walking up to that table behind you, and they open up that fire wallet, and that fire wallet scares the life out of them, and they drop all the trays onto the next table. Who's the proximate cause? Who's the person that caused it happen? You did. They're not going to fire the server, they're going to fire you. So eliminate those problems. When you do your material, make sure it's nothing that involves stuff that's going to damage the restaurant or damage the patrons or damage the meal and something like that. Keep in mind when you work in a restaurant, you're not the star of the restaurant. The food and the guests are the stars. You're a supplement. You're basically there to service, you're no more and no less than the server is. You're just a guy or a person or a female or woman, I should say, who does really cool stuff and makes the people have a great time at the restaurant, okay? You add to what's called a dining experience. You're creating an overall dining experience for them. If you do anything more than that and think that your ego is that you're the stupid magic guy there, then you know what? You're going to irk the staff you work with, and people are going to see you like that, and eventually they're not going to want to be around you, okay? Don't let your ego cut checks for you that you can't really cash, okay? So you want to make sure that you know that your place is there is something as a supplement for the restaurant. People didn't come there to see you do magic. Eventually they will, but they come there to eat the food, okay? Otherwise they'd be at your house to watching the magic. So they're there for one reason, for the restaurant. Make sure the restaurant, you never supersede the fact that they're there for one reason, for the food. You're there as a supplement, okay? Now, how you make your living, that's fine. As long as your bank account's happy, this doesn't matter. But make sure you know that, okay? Keep that in mind. So, approaching the table, make sure your magic is quick, flashy, something that's non-interactive. Do about a minute or two worth of that, and then you can gradually involve people in a magic effect. Something as simple as what I do, believe it or not, Invisible Deck works, and you can buy it right at Penguin Magic. Invisible Deck from Penguin Magic is one of the best tricks in the world. A great effect to have. You can do it simple, you can repeat it, you can do it again at the table, you can do it for another table. Another key thing, when you pick material, think about reset. You don't want to have something that takes for hours or minutes to reset again. You don't want to do cut and restored rope, we make messes and something like that.